Alright, so what's going on? Welcome. It's your boy Antoine Gibson back with another video. I'm not gonna make a long intro like the other videos. I'ma just say subscribe to the channel, follow me on Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, Facebook at Metallic Music, and I just uploaded a video earlier today. Check it out. It's playing right now. So there you go. Check it out on the page. Justin Bieber, Yummy. That joint goes hard. That track goes hard, bro. JB, know what I'm talking about? Alright, check it out. And yeah, let's get to it, bro. Let's do it. Alright, so with today's video, man, we're talking about and working through voice settings. Alright, so you can think of voice settings as certain guidelines people use when they voice certain parts of songs. Like the intro may have a different voicing than the verse, which has a different voicing than the pre-chorus, the pre-hook, then the hook, and then the bridge. All these parts of songs have different voicings, and voice settings are used to kind of give you an outline or a guideline to many of the voicings used in different parts of songs. So yeah, the kind of ways to portray certain thoughts and ideas to the paper. Yeah, and it's a pretty cool concept, man. Like every part of the song has a certain voice setting that makes it sound the way it sounds. Like for instance, voice setting 3 is kind of like my favorite. It's like my go-to when I write a ballad with a verse, right? So on the verse, you know what? I'll just show you when we get to it. All right, so here with me, I have 10 different voice settings. There's a plethora. There's like an infinite number of voice settings, really. But these 10 are kind of like the standard voice settings that one may use when writing a song. These are the 10 settings I got when I was learning arranging in college. And most songs have at least like 4 of these, like 4 or 5 of these in the song. Like no matter how basic, no matter how extravagant, yeah, they use these voice settings like it's crazy. So yeah, man, let's get right into it. Let's do it. Okay, so here was voice setting 1. It's kind of the standard voicing that you may hear on most songs, especially songs like on the chorus part, the big part, the most impactful part usually has the standard voicing, which is voice setting 1. Yeah, like even that song I did before, Laffy Taffy, I was using the standard voice setting 1 on the chorus of that song. So check it out. Here's an example. Check it out. Okay, voice setting 2 is very similar to voice setting 1. So when I made that alto line on the Laffy Taffy video, if you haven't seen it, by the way, you should definitely check it out. So when I made that alto line, that introduced voice setting number 2, which is adding an alto moving line to the soprano alto tenor voice in the standard voicing. So yeah, that's what I did. Okay, so here's one of my favorite voice settings, voice setting 3. So when I write ballads and songs with verses in it, most of the time, I don't have harmony on the verse. So the harmony is usually implied with the melody. The bass is, of course, the bass note. But I don't like to do chords on the verses. It just adds contrast. So when the chords do come in, it's more impactful. Voice setting 3 is a setting I use when writing verses and stuff like that. Check it out. Alright, so voice setting number 4 is the same exact thing except with added harmony on top. So when you want to add some different color to it, if it's a long verse or whatever, if it's colors in the song, like some sustained harmony or like rhythmic, you know, saying background in the song, that's kind of like a staple. That's voice setting number 4. Alright, so voice setting number 5, I guess it varies in use a lot. Like a lot. So here, this example is just pre-chorus before the chorus. So just adding a different color from the verse, which may have been voice setting number 2 or 3. It's a whole different texture. Like when you add counter melody on top of that, it's a whole different texture. So yeah, it's voice setting number 5. Check it out. See what I'm talking about. In the HBCU, in the black marching band world, you rarely have anybody doubling the tubas. Tubas are usually out there by themselves, and the low brass are kind of written as one instrument, one instrument voice. Right. So a lot of these voice settings are kind of for a different type of ensemble. If you catch my drift. So I'm kind of excluding all of the bass and the tenor on the same bass line. That doesn't happen often. Right, so I was just tubas by itself. But so here's an example of something that's kind of similar. It's homorhythmic. So the low brass are playing the same rhythm as the tubas, different notes, but the same rhythm, and it lines up like this. Yeah, so now this is one of my favorites. So as a woodwind player, any voice setting that brings out the woodwinds, I'm like, hey, it's time to turn up. It's our time to shine. You feel me? So voice number 7 is for the woodwinds. Adds that color, man. Hey, every band need woodwinds, dog. Hey, if your band ain't got no woodwinds,
shout out to Beyonce. Watch the drum bases. Do it. Parents, let's get your money's worth.
All right, so I love voice setting number 8. So when you need to accentuate, is that the word? We need to accentuate, I think that's a word, a certain part of the song. Write the band in unison, and the tubas, of course, on the tuba line. Write the bands in unison, and the loudest, physics lesson, right? So the loudest a band will ever be is in unison. Like no matter what, if everybody cranking a high F together, that's gonna be the loudest a band will ever be. Yeah, so examples 9 and 10, you can check them out. You can look at them. I couldn't really find anything for them, but I mean, you got the hang of it by now. Yeah, so these are just 10. Like I said, man, there's an infinite number of voice settings you can use, a plethora. So one I like to use that's not on here, I like to put the woodwinds on the counter melody with the altos and horns. A lot of times, it just adds a lot more color, especially when they're not doing like woodwind stuff. And when it's a strong trumpet section and you don't need the woodwinds on the trumpet part, yeah, I like to double them with the horn and the alto to push the counter melody more, add more color to it. That's not on here, but you can like legit make up voice settings that can kind of be your go-tos. Like when I arrange, when I hear a certain sound and when I want to make a certain sound out of a band, I kind of have some voice settings like already in my mind, already some go-tos. Like, okay, I'm about to do this, I'm about to do that. Like I said, whenever I do a verse, I do them a certain way every time I do them, for the most part, unless the group I'm writing for wants something different. Or like when I'm trying to do something impactful, hey, all unisons, like it's yeah. So another voice setting I love to use is all of the cylindrical brass instruments on one part, and that's the power instruments like trumpet, trombone. That just adds a lot of power, and and that gives me a certain sound I like in certain situations, like this one. So you kind of memorize these voice settings, and they kind of stick with you for like the entire time you're arranging every single song. And it's like you go to it unconsciously. But because you know the sound of each voice setting and how it works and the function, it makes arranging so much easier and so much more effective and productive. And learning these voice settings is a necessity. Like I don't know what I'd be without it. So yeah, man, so voice settings are a super useful tool. It's helped me out tremendously in my years of arranging and composing music. And yeah, so check them out. Get them under your fingers. You can download the link. I'm trying to put the link below. You can download it. And yeah, man, that's pretty much it. Yeah, so stay tuned for the next video. I don't know what it's gonna be yet, but stay tuned when I find out, when I figure it out. You know. All right, so like I said at the end of my last video, at the end of every single video, I'm going to play an arrangement that's relevant to the video, something that's substantial, something that's kind of like a culmination of what I just talked about. So this video is no different. So of course, I went to FAMU, graduated 2015, and got there in 2011. So when we did Atlanta Classic 2011, our ballad by Lindsey B. Sargent was Love's Holiday by Earth, Wind & Fire. And he put his foot, in that job, bro. Like, put his foot in that job. So I'm going to play that video. So I'm going to pinpoint every single time he changed voice settings. I haven't done it yet. So, I don't know. Take a guess about how many times. I think it's going to be like 30 or 40 times that he changed voice settings throughout that 3-minute long song. That's what I think. I don't know yet. Hopefully it's less, because it's less work. Oh, and hey, shout out to all the YouTube videos that I stole from the people. Go watch through videos, get their views up. I got like LaMike, I think I had one from Killer Kev, and a couple other like YouTube people. So check their pages out too. Do that. Alright, so I don't get sued.